Hello, this is Simon, broadcaster and traveller. Welcome to the latest edition of Pod World. We come to Munich, but where to start? We start here in Marienplatz. And if you were to give an artist a brief of drawing the marketplace from a grim fairy tale, for example, Marienplatz might be what that person dreams up. The most striking building is the Rathaus, the town hall, with its amazing Gothic architecture, a huge tower in the middle, and some fancy dancers that come to life at certain times of the month and year when there's something to be celebrated. And still ornate and still a little bit like a fantasy world is the Children's Museum with the Rathaus in front of you. This is to the right, and there are towers from churches all around you. So from this point you really get a sense of what Munich is, what Munich was, because from this central area where everybody seems to begin their trip, you have all the main shops, many of the best restaurants. And my recommendation is actually from here to go down those streets where the shops are and perhaps make your way to Karlstadt, where the justice, the courts are. That's another splendid building, but a bit like the Rathaus, you could do with a bit of a clean at the time of recording. But anyway, to get a sense of Munich, to get a place to start, begin in Marienplatz. I'm now at the place that first drew me to Munich. It's not some Gothic architecture, it's not even a famous old church. This place was designed in the late 1960s. It was opened in the 70s and it's hosted the Football World Cup, the Soccer World Cup. And football and European Championships have been held here. But it's most famous for what it takes its name from, the Olympic Stadium. The Olympic Stadium in Munich was built for the 1972 Games. And it's remembered for what happened to the Israel team, which was attacked by a group of terrorists. And a number of the Israeli team were killed. I think from memory, it's about 7. Steven Spielberg made a film about it. But let's deal with the stadium itself. So clearly it's designed in the 60s, and the roof and the associate swimming pool, which was also built for the Games, have this sail-like quality, hanging delicately from incredible girders. It really is a statement of intent. It was kind of Germany 20 years after the end of the Second World War saying, we have rebuilt, we have regenerated, we're now the beating heart of Europe in a full democracy. Except it wasn't at the time, of course, because Germany was split between West Germany, the Bundesrepublik, and East Germany, DDR. So until reunification, Germany was split at the time of the Olympic Games. But just looking at the design and just looking around at the stadium, you'll hear banging behind me because it's still in use. They're preparing for an event at the weekend. It is absolutely extraordinary. Not as pristine, I'm sure, as when it was first built in 1972. But you know what? I think it stood the test of time. The Olympic Stadium, really easy to get to. It has a YouTube station named after it. In front of the Olympic Stadium you can climb a hill, a natural hill that was there before the stadium was built, and it's an easy climb, and from it you can get a spectacular view over the Olympic Stadium. But I mention it because you can also get a view over the adjacent swimming pool, and it's there where another historic event took place. Mark Spitz, racing for the Americans, won 7 gold medals, all in a world record time. Now I know that Michael Phelps has gone on and beaten it with his own 8 golds at the same Olympics, but what Mark Spitz did in 1972 was take swimming to another level. He basically said to the male swimmers in all the events he competed, this is the new benchmark and you've got to catch up. It really was an extraordinary achievement from a likeable man. Mark Spitz then with his 7 gold medals here in Munich in the Olympic swimming pool. The other advantage of getting to the top of the hill is that you just get the most spectacular view, 360-degree panorama of the entire city. You can see on one side it's quite a plain, and then to the far distance there are trees where the forest is. But come the other way, and so this is the opposite end to where the Olympic Stadium is, and on a clear day you can see the Alps. It really situates Munich in its own special place here in Bavaria. If I was to throw a few names at you, Gerd Müller, Franz Beckenbauer, Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, Uli Hoeneß, Thomas Müller, Robert Lewandowski and Harry Kane, some of you will be lighting up and thinking, aha, he's talking about football, soccer here in the United States. And you're talking about one club in particular, and that has brought me to the northern edges of Munich because I'm at the Allianz Arena, and it's a place I've been wanting to come to. I wouldn't say forever because this hasn't been built forever. This is modern architecture wrapped up as a football stadium, and I use the term wrapped up because it looks like it is covered with an inflatable balloon, an extraordinary concept which gets illuminated at night, and that looks pretty spectacular. And it's even more spectacular, I imagine, on match days. Sadly no match today, so I'll have to come back for that. Now, in the interest of fairness, I thought it would be only right to say that there are 2 teams in Munich. FC Bayern, many times European champions, and TSV 1860, founders of the Bundesliga and indeed former champions of the league. However, despite sharing the Allianz Arena when it first opened, I'm afraid that 1860 have gone on a bit of a journey. First of all, they ran out of money, and so they decided about 2006 to sell half. They had a half share in the Allianz and sell that half share to Bayern. So Bayern own this stadium 100%. But I'm afraid for 1860 it just went from bad to worse, and eventually they tumbled from the Bundesliga into the 4th tier of German football. At the time of recording, they're up to the 3rd tier of German football, a comeback of sorts. They actually play in their original ground, the Grunwald Stadium, which is to the far south of Munich, as I'm in the north. And you know what? If I came from this city, 1860 sounds like my kind of club. It's that unpredictability. Bayern wins all the trophies. Fantastic. Well done, Bayern. But Munich, 1860, well, you never know what's coming next. One final observation from here at the Allianz Arena. As you approach it, in the area all around, you'll see there are collections of old seats, and they're just repurposed. They are the original seats that went into the building when it was first built, and once they were faded and had served their purpose in the stadium and were being replaced, they were put in a park area. So if you turn up on a match day and you want to have a little sit down before you get into the stadium, you can sit on the original seats. Munich, thinking ahead all the time. What a great place this is, and what a fabulous, fabulous stadium. One of the places that I have been keen to see since I've been in Munich is BMW Welt, BMW World. I was very fond of my 07 BMW 3 Series until the sensors kept telling me there was a problem when there wasn't, which is disappointing, but it was a great car to drive, and I wouldn't ever rule out owning another BMW, and so I've been able to come here and have a look at what's on offer. And there's sort of two parts to the BMW world. You've got the current contemporary cars. It's completely free. You can wander and see what they've got, including many of the new electric vehicles that obviously that BMW and most of the other manufacturers are putting a great deal of effort into. But some of the petrol vehicles can be found towards the back of the display. If you go through BMW World, beyond there is a museum of the older cars. In fact, the first cars they built, including the old bubble cars, the motorcycles. They've been making motorcycles, top quality motorcycles for more than 100 years. And of course, their famed automobiles as well. BMW Welt, easy to get to. Simply take the U-train to the Olympic Park, and it's on one side of the Olympic Park, clearly marked in a futuristic building built especially for BMW Welt. Today finds me at another historical site close to Munich, but there's no glory attached to here. I'm in Dachau. I'm actually at the Dachau concentration camp. And from the central station in Munich, it has taken me, using public transport, a little over 20 minutes to get here. Dachau was the first concentration camp built by Hitler. In fact, he formed it shortly after becoming Chancellor, where he soon imprisoned his undesirables, initially political prisoners, but obviously after that Jews, homosexuals, gypsies, people Hitler did not approve of. It's good actually to see that when you're here, scores and scores of young people and students are being shown around so that they can get an idea of what happens when a right-wing maniac takes over the world. Dachau served as the prototype for all future Nazi concentration camps, and itself, it lasted from 1933 until liberation in 1945, and was responsible, it's estimated, for the deaths of around just under 50,000 people. My overall sense of Dachau and the concentration camp is its overall bleakness, but it's certainly worth spending some time here and reflecting. If your trip to Munich starts in Marienplatz, then it surely ends here in the Englischer Garten, the English Garden, where it supposedly takes its inspiration from those Victorian pleasure gardens like Hyde Park in London, or any number of the municipal gardens that are in every English town and city. It's the lungs of Munich, and it's enormous. It's something like 3 or 4 kilometers long. It's full of runners, cyclists. There's even a little area where you can surf. Yeah, I kid you not. There are people ahead of me playing football, and it's quiet and peaceful. And that noise you can hear there is the only thing that troubles us, which is public transport, because it is so magnificent. And I have been struck, because I've spent a little time away from the centre, at how quiet Munich actually is. And I think it's down to the lack of traffic noise. This may be the home of BMW, but people can leave their cars at home, certainly if they're coming into the centre of Munich, because it's so easy to get around. You've got the S, the suburban trains, you've got the U, the underground trains, you've got the trams, and any number of buses like this one here, taking you crisscross through the city to the transport hubs to get you about. I've been really taken with Munich. I wanted to come because I wanted to see the Olympic Park, but beyond that I really had no plans or even any idea what Munich was all about. I really found it a most welcoming city, and I'd certainly recommend you coming, and I, for one, have got it in my mind to make a return. Munich, an unexpected pleasure.